Hello, Pauper fans. This is Mathonical, and you are joining me for round 1 of the Pauper Challenge on October 15th. We're playing Rally Gond, and our opening hand is unfortunately unkeepable this time, so we'll send it back. This hand's a little sketchy, but since we have 4 mana, can cast everything in our deck. We have half of our combo. Soul Warden is great for stalling out, and Prismatic Strands is great at some matchups, so this is fairly reasonable. Go ahead and keep that. And at this moment, seeing the Soul's Attendant on top, I looked up my opponent at this moment because if they're playing on Stompy, this will be great. Double Soul Sisters right off the start, plus a Prismatic Strand to back them up. And then, like, even Presence of Gone, even if we don't get the combo, just being able to generate a creature every single turn and gain 2 life, that can win many games. So we go ahead and keep that on top, predicting that our opponent is on Stompy. We go ahead and start playing this through. Seeing that Forest and the Sentinel bodes well. It means he or she is very likely on Stompy. So we go ahead and play our Soul Sisters, and now our life gain is online. We don't mind taking a few hits here. We're just looking to gain life and get to the point where taking random amounts of damage just doesn't matter anymore. Volt Scourge is kind of annoying because that's going to play around our Prismatic Strands fairly well, especially if they start loading up like this with Rancor. So that's something to be mindful of. Prismatic Strands is not a fog, it's a partial fog. We're going to go ahead and cash it in here. We left 3 mana open to make this play. Wanting it in the graveyard is a lot better since it's basically a free spell once it's there. We can use it any time and we can start using our mana for the rest of the game. So here we've got the great play of being able to play another Soul Sister and get the Presence of Gone online. This time it's going to generate us 3 life every single turn. And we're basically just going to generate 3 life, block, make a Young Wolf, and that Young Wolf will gain us 3 life. Like, at this point, there isn't many ways that our opponent can win. If they have a Viridian Longbow, that is the way they get out of this. And they're going to keep shipping in as much as they want. We're just kind of cashing some of our Elf Warriors as we're getting a ton of life. Now we've got 4 online. This is where it's just kind of, you feel a little bad for the Stompy player. Because try as they might, they did hit us for 11 there, but we're just going to gain most of it back. We didn't do any block there because we're trying to get up to 2 Elf Warriors to double block one of these creatures to get them off the board permanently. We can cash in the Prismatic Strands at any point if we need to by blocking with all of our Soul Sisters and like killing 2 other creatures, but at this point we don't really need to. So we're just going to hold out on that unless something funny comes up like a fight effect. Getting the Send's Enlistment here is absolutely fantastic. Every single one of our lands from this point on turns into 8 life and 2 creatures, which completely negates their attacks. We're feeling so far ahead now, I don't mind getting in for a little bit of damage just to, send a message. They're now realizing that it's a losing battle if they attack with everyone, so now they're just attacking us for 5 a turn, but we're still gaining 4 life a turn, so -1, no big deal. And since we're going to start cashing in our lands to gain additional life, things are looking pretty good. The Benevolent Bodyguard is a good pickup. It's an extra protection effect to keep our sisters alive, just in case they have a fight effect to get rid of our Presence of God Soul Sister. So, yeah, we don't mind doing this for a little while. We do want to find some way of winning the game, like Rally the Gond or something of that effect, before they find a Viridian Longbow. Not all Stompy lists play at main board, but if they do, that could be a problem for us. So always keep that in mind. I'm already starting to do the count for how long, or like when it would be reasonable to start attacking, being able to get around their blockers, even if we give up some guys. And we're still a little ways away from that. But it's just kind of mindful to look for the outs of what our opponent's looking for and what we're looking for. We'd also be very happy getting any kind of Battle Screech, because then we can at least stop the attacks from Volt Scourge. If we manage to get... Standard Bearer is a really nice pickup. That's going to turn off all of their targeted effects going forward. So they keep on getting in. We would like to just draw something, but at this point, the board state's very stable. Getting the Midnight God is nice because that's going to turn off any attacks from the Skulk. We're not worried about Aquarian Ranger at all because now it must target Standard Bearer. That does a nice job of shutting it down. Our opponent unfortunately doesn't realize that the guard can block the Skulk and throws it away, but that's not going to make a big difference in this one. Drawing lands normally would not be ideal, but this is the power of Sen's Enlistment, just allowing us to cash them in for just all of the late game value. You probably noticed the way we're putting these abilities on the stack. You want to make sure that you're clicking all of one type at once, because whichever one is fully, like the 2 Soul Wardens here, will automatically go on the stack once the Midnight Guard gets clicked. Sequencing things like that will help a lot in longer matchups. So, we're not really worried about much. We've got a ton of life. Viridian Longbow would still be really annoying, but we'd be able to survive 2 turns of it thanks to the Prismatic Strands and the Benevolent Bodyguard. And now we have even insurance, extra insurance, a second standard bearer here. Things are looking very good for us, but we do have to find a way to win eventually. Moto likes to take its time at clicking these. Maybe we can help it along. So at this point, we're getting really close to the part where we can start attacking. Since they've got 2, 4, 6, 8 blockers, we'll be able to start getting for like 8 damage. So soon we can start looking at getting in for some damage, but we'd still like to have some more reliable way of getting in damage. Yep, so I'm just going to start skipping a turn at a time, because they're just going to get in for damage. We're going to put all the abilities on the stack. We're still looking to draw something, but Bodyguard doesn't really do much, so we just get some life, make do, gain some life. Our opponent gets in for 5 damage. It's getting kind of silly now, since we're both getting to very absurd life totals. They're playing their creatures because they need to try and keep up with our creature production, just to try and prevent us from going all in. We're still looking for some win con. There's a bunch of them in our deck. We'll get there eventually. We are trying to play as fast as possible here, so there's been a couple times where I've been debating throwing away some of my creatures that are causing all these triggers, simply because time can be a concern. Like, generally, games against Stompy do go fairly quick, so I'm not too concerned, but it's still mindful that we're down a minute and a half. Here we do get our Battle Screech online, so we can finally start getting in for a bit of chip damage and stopping the Vault Scourge attacks, which are both nice. Bone Splinter, it doesn't really matter too much. I was surprised he didn't put it on the Pit Sculpt to continue attacking, but I'm sure he has some reasoning for putting it on there. I guess he's trying to prevent an Alpha Strike, maybe gain some life in case we do. And this is the card we've been waiting for. Now we can get in for most of our creatures. Of course, you can right-click Attack with All, but the replay doesn't remember that, so we're just going to go ahead and skip ahead. Because basically, we attacked with All, he didn't block everything, he tried to multi-block a couple things. We cast both sides of the Rally of the Peasants, and we won, doing like 100 damage. Alright, so that's how Game 1 went, and we will jump into Game 2. First, we'll take a quick look at the sideboard. So, in this matchup, we want to bring in the Oblivion Rings to protect ourselves from the Viridian Longbow. We always have the option of bringing in some Journey to Nowheres, but I wasn't too concerned about what I was seeing on his side. Let's see. Yeah, and then we take out 1 Soul's Attendant. We take out 1 of the Sen's Enlistment. Even though it's really good, it is kind of slow. And... oh wait, is that... I think we took out 1 more. Oh yeah, there we go. 1 Presence of Gone as well. Just because we don't need to go infinite to win this one. We basically just want to have some way of stabilizing the board and protecting ourselves against the rare chance they get the Viridian Longbow online. And that is how we sideboard in this one. Like, there are other reasonable routes. You can take some Journeys. That's always fine. You can sideboard out different cards if you want to. It's always good to change it up once in a while so people don't always know what you're going to be doing. And our opening hand, while a little slow and clunky, does have our Oblivion Rings to protect ourselves from any longbow shenanigans. It's also good removal. And even though it's green heavy, these colony gardens can do a good job of just providing chump blockers in case things get a little ridiculous, and Soul's Tenant is going to be great. So we'll happily keep this one. Our opponent, unfortunately, needs to mulligan down to 5 cards. They're probably looking for a Viridian Longbow, or just getting unlucky with their hands. No play here is saying to me that they have a fight effect, which is why I didn't play the Soul Lieutenant to turn 1 and play the Benevolent Bodyguard instead, because I really do want this to stick, and if they didn't play any creatures, I'm not as under pressure to get the life gain online. So I go ahead and get the Soul Lieutenant online now, and sure enough they do have that fight effect. We go and try and protect it, but they have a Vines. While that is kind of bad, they are now down to 1 card, so it's not the worst. We'll go ahead and cash in one of our plants to gain 2 life, and just in case their last card was a Mystical, we didn't want it to get increased in size. We get rid of the Nettle Sentinel just because we have no action in hand, and we just want to reduce the pressure on us. Drawing the Battle Screech is nice. It gives us some creatures, and the Midnight Bodyguard allows us to splash that back. So we are in business to get in some damage and start trying to win this game before they're able to get much going. This game is basically just an unfortunate part of our opponent's mulliganing, and while our hand is fairly land heavy, it's been a fairly reasonable hand of Battle Screech, couple Midnight Guards, and cards like that. I don't like seeing this many lands, but if we find some, like the one last sense of this at some point, it will be good. At least these lands do gain us some life. That can be relevant. They're starting to get in for some damage. We go ahead and trade away. We don't want to turn any Skulks online. It can turn on some Hunger of the Howlpacks, but if that's what they're doing this turn, then that's going to be fine. We'd be able to get in with a lot of damage with the birds. We go ahead and try and Oblivion Ring their last creature because they were going to get in for lethal, and that does it. At worst case, they would have had a Vines and need to cash it in to survive another turn, but we would have gotten for 4 damage, so I felt it was reasonable to cash in the Oblivion Ring just to try and end it 1 turn faster. So that is how round 1 went. Come and join me for round 2. I'll see you there.